Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about tooling and working with tools you don't like. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I'm currently working as a front-end developer working mostly with React. Now they want me to work with Angular for at least this whole year, which I've tried for a few weeks. I hate the latter so much that if this is what web development was about, I would never have become a front-end developer. Wow, there are some strong emotions there. It's to the point where I'm wanting to leave after just 7 months. How have you dealt with working with tech you did not like? Yeah, there is some. I can tell that there's some strong emotions about React and Angular here. This right here, my friends, this is the sort of person that you are. Of course, this person is completely entitled to their own opinion, but these are the sorts of people that would be very dangerous to take too literally. This is a very emotional response to Angular, if you ask me. And the same thing happens all over the place. This is why I try to be the voice of reason here, and I'm gonna give you the most boring, it's the worst answer ever. And the answer is gonna be that for me, guys, technology is a tool. It is a means to an end. And I know that that's not so fun to listen to, because that basically means that, oh, Frederick loves everything, and I don't. I promise. I'm going to be completely transparent with you immediately. I don't like every single piece of tech, but I think that at least I am able to make this distinction. And the distinction that I try to make is why I like something and why I don't like something, and understand which parts of me are being emotional and irrational, if that makes sense. Like, if I have a preference, there's nothing wrong with this. This is the important part to understand. There's nothing wrong with you saying, hey, I don't like this thing over here, I like that thing over there. And I know that engineers have this tendency, we really like this, we really do. Sometimes, honest to God, I wish we were a little bit more like the visual artists, where you don't have to motivate every single reason why you like something. You don't have to like logically say that, oh, I like this language here because it's objectively better than this thing over here, and then get into an argument over who is correct about the thing. If you don't like Angular, don't like them, that's fine. If you don't like React, then that's fine. It's really, I mean, it's a personal choice. It's like asking why do you like this painting and you don't like that painting? Why do you like the look of that person and not that person? You don't have to justify it. So when I say that I have a preference in tech, it's an emotional thing. I know that it's an emotional thing. Sometimes I actually do have solid good reasons as to why I feel a certain way. But at the end of the day, I understand, and I hope that you can too, that there's no such thing as something that is just objectively better than the other thing. Or rather, it's very rare. Let's just call it that. And if you're unable to look at the thing that you are doing, like the tool, the language, the stack, whatever you're using, from the perspective of somebody who is not sold on all the things that you like about it, and at the same time you're able to, of course, understand what you like about it, well, there's more than one perspective that makes sense. And at least this is what I try to do. I really try my darndest to separate my decision-making process for what tool I'm going to use or how I'm going to approach something. I try to take that emotional part and throw it out the window. It's almost impossible. I mean, it's not always perfect, but I try to do that as much as I can, and then just look at things from the perspective of, okay, if I was completely detached from this thing, I didn't care at all what the results were. I'm looking for our results that are best from my experience, like for all the people who are going to be involved in this thing. Which thing would I use? And when you have that approach to things, it really doesn't matter. Like, I would never make the argument. I mean, I'll give you a completely concrete example. I prefer React over Angular, and it's like React is my favorite front-end framework for a few reasons. And I can go into listing all the things that are really awesome about React, and then I can list a few things that are not so awesome with React, which I think Angular actually does a lot better. And it wasn't all that long ago where I was in for a position where I'm working with React, moving from that job and going into to an organization where they're using Angular. Now, I wasn't thrilled about making that switch, but the position was very interesting and the project was interesting. Like the pros overweighed the cons, and for me, working with Angular is, like, as I said, like, it's not an emotional thing, and therefore I can detach myself from it. Therefore, there is no such thing as asking me, what do you do when you work with tech you don't like, because there's no such thing for me. It's just like I have tools that I prefer over other tools, but if I'm in a place of work, I always make that weigh off which one is like what's going to benefit me the most. Do I want this job and work with something that I don't like? For an example, I've worked with Scala for years now. I don't like Scala. Like there are a very few select things that I like about Scala, and for the most part, I just think it's a horrible language. Not because it is a horrible language; it's just that I don't enjoy working in it. And sure, I can sit here and I can list it, but at the end of the day, I'm a professional, and this language is just a tool that I use in order to produce something. And although I'm not a fan of that specific tool, there's a bunch of other stuff that I do as part of my day that I really do enjoy. So once again, pros and cons. And so what I suggest to this subscriber is that if you feel this strongly about something, then your only option is really to move into another company. And I mean, if you've been working there for 7 months, then that's fine. Like, there's, as I said, there's no shame in saying that you're not very interested in working with Angular per se. I'll raise my finger just ever so slightly, and try to just kind of nudge you in the right direction. Just in general, don't go to like a new company and say something along the lines that, well, they've started forcing me to use Angular and I don't like Angular. You can say that, it's not the end of the world. It's just that, unfortunately, there is this, this may be just me, but in many cases, there's this slight sort of idea that what you're looking for as a person who's hiring software developers, you're looking for people who just love tech, everything about tech. And so if you have an individual who, like, there are some things that are okay to like say that I don't like that and I like this. It's not always the case. It can be completely fine. It's just that it's better to be safe and just say that, well, the company, like, I felt that I've done what I could at that company. I felt like I needed to change, and they were starting to move in a direction that I couldn't follow with. And then you can say something like I prefer working in React, and I really want to continue my progression in React, and they were moving towards Angular, and I felt like, yeah, sure, Angular is cool and all, but I really want to focus on React. Like, try to make a positive spin on it rather than say that, you know, you just don't like React. It's just to be safe, because if there are some people who have like they look at software developers as these super nerd. Everybody's a super nerd, and everything about tech is just awesome. You have no idea how many times people have come up to me with their shit projects, which are like, it's just grunt work, and been very confused when I've turned them down, because you know what? Why? I mean, this is working with computers, right? Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, it is, but I mean, it's not very interesting stuff to do with computers. And it's like, what are you saying? It's something with computers. And I'm like, you're into cars. Do you want to come home to me and change my tires? So what I want you to take away from this is that I don't really have any good tips for you for when you're dealing with tech you don't like, because it's an emotional thing for the most part. I would say that it is extraordinarily rare that your thoughts, that your negative thoughts on a language are objective. Just accept that these are usually emotional things. Sometimes, of course, there are absolutely decisions, like technical decisions that are made, that can happen in any language, where this doesn't really fit the problem that you're working with, or you're unhappy with this sort of stuff, right? But I mean, that's not just to do with languages, it has to do with everything. It's for everything from your manager to your project to whatever, and it's like you have to cope with it, or you have to change the change the context. And I have tons of other videos where I show you, I talk to you about different approaches for the different problems. Everything from how do you deal with bad bosses, bad coworkers, to like bad office cultures, to technical debt, etc., etc. That's a million videos. It's half of the profession. I mean, it's half your experience if you know this stuff, and that's why I make these videos, because I can't make one video to teach you all of that, or like to share my thoughts. There's just too much. But aside from that, my only tip from you is to get into this idea. If you want to be a true professional software developer, your stack, it's just a set of tools. And when I look at my stack, it's what I look at. It's just a tool. And my goal is always just to understand the tools that I'm working with, because I know that I can produce really good results in React, and sure, that might be my favorite, but I also know that I can produce really good results in Angular as well. It really just comes down to, can I understand how I should use this tool? How do I apply to get that success that I'm looking for? And I can do that that's possible in practically every tool out on the market. That is why they are there. Have a great day.